Kia ora tātou katoa toa. Wow, what a response. And we've got some people online as well. Turo oromai to USP. It's so wonderful to see some faces we know really well and some other faces that we weren't always expecting. So that's brilliant. We've got a few people online as well who are interested in this information evening, and we are recording it. So if you don't know anybody, if you know of people that couldn't get here for one reason or another, we can send them the link once the meeting is over, just in case they want to know anything as well. Okay, so it's my huge pleasure to have Ake back with us, Dr. Ake Nicholas, if you haven't met her before. And she works for Auckland, but she's here quite a lot. So we kind of, you know, we think she works for us too, but she does work for us. So before we get started, and welcome to those who are online as well, can I ask, please, can you do our poripoa to start us? Thanks, Ake. All right, I'm going to hand over to Ake now, and then if there's any other questions or anything that we missed in the details, I'll come in towards the end about, you know, logistics around the qualification and what that means at USP, and if you're already studying and how the papers fit and those sorts of things. Okay, so do I have to give you these little ear jobbies? So excuse me, everybody.
Kia orana. Tōku ingoa ko Ake, tōku ingoa roa ko Sally Ake wai te namu Nicholas. Te anganga nei au ki New Tirini te University of Auckland. Tāku anga kimikiti ko te o turi o te reo, ko te Linguistics. Ko te Linguistics, te anganga kimikite o te au reo kātoto o te ao. Ea te au tū kupu o te au reo, ea te au tāki atu, ea te au tāki atu kōrero, ea te au tangata o tētai reo e tōtu ana. Kāre te anganga Linguistics, te anganga ko teia te tuatua tano, ko teia te tuatua kino. Kāre, ko te anganga a te Linguistics, te anganga ākara ua. Api I mātou, ea a te au tangata e rāra nei. Kāre, e a te au me kino, te me tano, e a tā rātou a rāra. Kia mātou nei, o tātou nei, ko te rāra a te tangata, e tano. Manga tukeke te mako tētai tangata tētai puapi I tētai metua. Nāra, ko te me pōpinga I roto I te ao o te Linguistics, ko te rāra a te tangata, te rāra tano. Me e tangata reo tai aia. Tētai taime e a pii ana tētai tangata I te reo I tōna pakarianga, e tangata a pii reo rua aia. Ka roki ai I te tārawa ke, no te me ke te api ianga o te pakari, te api ianga o te tamariki. Ne, but, koe te reira. Kia ora ne te aronga Zoom. Te mai ne mauki au. Uanga au nā Ake wai rawa ko kōpu papa no reira tōku ingoa Ake wai. Ka kōpu tangata rātau. Tētai o kōtau. Anu I au I New Tirini, inara tōku pēpianga, ina ngaro tōku ngā metua I te okimai ki konei ki te inua kia api I mātou te tamariki te reo. No reira ki te au I te reo, nōku te manuia, ne. I te reira taime e rārani te reo Māori I te au tamariki o konei, kua taui I tae nei e rāra papa. I'm just old enough, young enough. But yeah, rauko i aku te reo, tōku tamarika manuia. So, ko te qualification, tōna ingoa roa, Diploma in Pacific Vernacular Languages, Cook Islands Māori. And the reason it's got that big long name is at USP, the main office USP in Fiji, they have a few of them, right? So you can do your diploma in Wangaho Niue and your diploma in Tongan and a few other languages as well. And so the mitua is this Pacific Vernacular Languages, and ko mātou te tamariki reo Māori kukia nei. But the special thing about us is, so we were the first ones. We started it and they all copied us. Yeah. So ngā ko porau, ne. So we're the first people to have started and the first people to have finished, and now we're the first people to be making a second group. So we're, yeah, ko mātou nā tātou nā mua. So ako mata te pupu tai. Ako mata rātou i te 2017. Oti tētai pai i te 2021. So oti a rātou te diploma, oti tētai pai i te certificate. And ko tētai o rātou, i ko nei, e au pē patoe tō rātou. No te me, te rawenga o te piianga, we came every January in the school holidays, anga roi roto i te tuata o te January, and you know it's hard to keep doing that over and over again. You have your family commitments. It's especially if you're a school teacher, that's your only big chunk where you get to be with your family and do those things. So it was hard, and so quite a lot of people, including some of us here, couldn't do it every time. And because we were doing it as a cohort, we just did paper 1 this time, paper 2 the next time, paper 3 the next time, and it's not like the sort of mainstream papers where you can always do your UU 100 every semester, and if you miss out one time, you can just do it the next time because of the constraints of our staffing in particular. That's, you know, how often I can come and be here for a period of time. We could only do it one at a time. But also, obviously, they were teachers, so they were doing it on top of their full-time job. So it wasn't, you know, we couldn't do it a different way with that group. But yeah, we do 5 Māori papers. I think I've got a list in here. The first 2 are just straight up, what is the structure of Cook Islands Māori? It's just straight up theoretical linguistics. You learn about parts of speech, about sentence structure, and we learn about all the different kinds of verbal and nominal sentences that we've got in Māori, and all kinds of things about what we sometimes think of as the grammar of the language, how that works, right? And the first 2, structure 1 and structure 2, cover all of that. But it's not as boring as it sounds, is it? Hey, back me up. Anga matora. We try to make it as fun as possible, and I'll show you in a minute some of the fun stuff that we do in it. So there's 2. The first 2 are language structure, so not language learning, right? So these papers are aimed at te aronga ki te meipa ki te reo, right? Me kare, if you're not totally fluent, it is still possible, but you have to be prepared to be challenged. And if you are in that position and you're like, oh, I'm a intermediate learner or a really keen learner, it will be hard, but it will be very valuable, and you will find that your reo jumps dramatically when you do it, because there's no better way to jump from an intermediate speaker to being a proficient speaker than studying something, in our case, the science of the language, i te reo, with Māori as the main language that we mostly speak most of the time in the classroom, right? Yeah, so that's those first 2, and that's usually me who looks after those because that's my area of expertise. But James helps out with with them as well. Then we've got the next one after that, number 3, is teaching Māori. So how to teach Māori, with a particular focus on our biggest need, which we have here, which is how to teach Māori to children who are second language learners of Māori, right? Because as we know, the situation we have today is that the vast majority of our children are coming into school with Reo Papa'a as their main language that they prefer to use. The small exception to that is the kids who are at school in most of the Pāinua, who are mostly Māori dominant, but even that is getting impinged on a little bit as the march of the English pressure from the outside world gets, marches further and further into our thing. So this is the key skill that we all need to be, we all want to be better at, which is how do we get our kids speaking Māori, right? What strategies can we do in the classroom to encourage that? How can we approach teaching Māori in a way that's going to be engaging and effective for our kids, right? And that's a theme across the whole course, really. But that one, number 3 there, that's the main focus of it. It's a technical, language teaching course. So that's that one. That's a level 2. And then there's 3 level 3s, which are one which is on translation, and which is also we had a lot of fun in that one when we did that one. But the point of that one is much like the sort of idea that just because you can speak a language well doesn't mean you can teach it well. Similarly, just because you can speak both Māori and English doesn't necessarily mean you automatically are good at translating, right? Because translating is a specific skill that you have to practice, and it's different depending on who your audience is and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what that one is focused on. And then the last one in the program is a research methods course, where you get to do a little research project looking at some question to do with the language. And the first group did amazing job with that project, and you can see all of their final presentations are on our YouTube channel, which I'll show you in a minute, and you can have a look at those to see the kinds of really cool studies that they did. But Elizabeth's on there, she's done that paper and a few other people so that's the Māori courses. There are also, as we saw back there, the qualification as a whole has 12 papers. So the 5 Māori ones, which we do, that I am sort of looking after, and then the rest of them are just sort of ordinary USP papers, mostly language and linguistics focused, but then you also have to do the some of those general skills ones that you have to do for every USP course, like the computer one and the academic writing one. Those ones. You might have already done those in another qualification. In that case, that's all right, you've covered it, but that's part of the diploma. So the 5 Māori papers plus the 7 mainstream USP papers for the diploma. Mako? Mako. Right. Yeah. There's another course that we've got going on in the system, which is this one, CM101, which is, James can talk about that a bit if you want, but it's the one for the language learners, right? And we've been running those here we've done it quite a few times now, like 4 or 5 times now. Yeah. So we've had a few groups coming through, and a few people came more than once, because it's always good to just keep practicing when you're trying to learn a language. So this one here is for learners, for beginners, and the next step above beginner, whatever you call that, So, but this one isn't part of our diploma, because our diploma is focused on people who already have good proficiency or nearly already have good proficiency in the language, right? So that's a different stream, if you will. Yeah. Cool. All right. So a bit hard to see. So one thing that sometimes people find a little bit anxiety inducing is the fact that this course is sitting in the linguistics in linguistics, it gets run out of the School of Linguistics in USP, and the main bias in it comes from me, and I'm a linguist, and so it's a linguistics course, and that can be a little bit, manga matakuwi, tētai taime, but A, like I said before, we make it as fun as we possibly can, and B, it's really, really worth it, because it's a truism that the more you know about how your language works, the more you are able to teach effectively with that language. And that doesn't mean you go into the classroom and you start teaching them, this is this kind of sentence, or this is this kind of word, and blah, 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 grammar. That's not what you do as a teacher. But because you know that, you're able to design better stuff to, your materials and plans for your teaching, right? And as it says in the underneath one, I'm sure you've all experienced this if you have been a Māori teacher at any point, where your students you'll be trying to teach, something, how you talk about this or that, and your student will go, well, why is it like that? Right? Kids want to know that, adults want to know that, everyone asks that question, right? And if you have a really good, thorough understanding of what the system is, you're more able to deal with that question, right? You can say, oh, because this is how it works in this kind of sentence, and it's this kind of sentence because this is a special kind of verb, and some other special kind of verbs that belong with that, or this and that and that, and you can connect it all up and you can make it make sense, instead of what you might naturally do just as a person who's a L1 speaker of the language, who's, a teacher, knows how to be a teacher, but doesn't necessarily know that stuff, where you often sort of default to just going, oh, it just is, right? It's just like that. That's just how it is, right? And this is what everybody does who's a normal person who's informally trying to teach someone a language, right? If this is English speakers do it too, if they've got a friend who, is from somewhere else where English isn't their first language, and the friend is like, help me with my English. Why do I have to say this in this kind of sentence? And ordinary person's like, just because, right? And that's quite a frustrating thing to hear as a learner, because that doesn't really help, because what learners are looking for is patterns and systems and, something to hang their learning on, like, something to scaffold themselves as they get through it. So that's why it's that way around. Although, I mean, probably in reality, it's that way around because I made it that way, but I think it's good. I think it's worth it. Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like you wouldn't believe the really technical things that, how many students have we got? 1, 2, 3 in this room who've done those 2 papers, those 2 linguistic ones, and now they know it all, right? Now they're all super confident at their linguistic analysis of Māori, aren't you, Koto? You want to get reminded, so you can see all of it on YouTube again as well. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I don't think we need to get stuck into this because we know this, but we'll just, why do we need to do it? Because of this, right? Because we have a big, scary problem at the moment with our language, which is that fewer and fewer of our children are learning it. And that is not just in New Zealand or Australia, where we know it's, rough, but also iko nei ki Rarotonga, right? We know that at this point, nui anga o te tamariki e rarapapa ana, yeah. And this is, karite e angang kino nā te tamariki, karite e angang kino nā te mitua, no wa o mai. This has been caused by the extraordinary power of the English language that it has everywhere in the world, right? And even little old us in the middle of the ocean, far away from everywhere else, hasn't missed out on the encroachment, the ngaru nui o te reo papa, like it just comes and comes and comes, and probably we can't stop it, right? So we need to find ways to, reo rua tō tātou ao, kia reo rua tō tātou ao, so, kāre te reo tai reo papa a ua, ko te reo Māori e te reo papa, and whatever other reo that that's part of your system, we can have all of it. That would be ideal. Because I'm just gonna skip through. All right. So I thought that I would show a couple of things that the first group made to give you an idea of the fun stuff. Hang on, I just got to change what the Zoom people are looking at. Yeah. Kia ora na e te Aronga Zoom. I'm just going to change my sharing and I can encourage that window to come back. Oh, it's gone up there. No more sharing. Oh. Okay. Aronga Zoom, you see Papa Pāpaka now? Mako, okay.
Papa Pāpaka Makaratea. E no ana aia ki roto I te tei a kau o Matawera. E papa aia no mere rawa ko tioni. Kia ora nei papa.
Kia ora nei papa.
E mata te pakati o papa Pāpaka. E reka ana aia I te apai tōna utaeke ki tōna toka viravira. E au remu tētai I reira. Kia ora nei papa Pāpaka.
Kia ora nei papa Pāpaka.
Kia ora I te ara e papa Pāpaka. Te runga a papa Pāpaka I tōna toka viravira e taki tua nei ki tōna utaiake no runga I tōna toka. Mā nea rai tō o toka e papa Pāpaka.
Ho ea tō o toka e papa Pāpaka.
Ea ati ia karai runga I tia toka. No papa Pāpaka te ia toka.
Too slow. Maho. So yeah, that's what we do in our grammar course. We make little movies and do other things like that. Want to see another one? This one. Oh, yep.
Kia rana o tātou I tamari, o te tuamarua ta tātou api I tira, a tāna ngā tātou te hiau kupu, e a tantangi anō te pōpera I roto I te tai taki a kōrero. E a tantangi anō hau. Ko wau teia, ko maene matapō. Ko wau teia, ko maene matapō. E te amata, akari. E akari teia. E akari teia. O te toro o te akatantai e te makarona. Para. E ua rākau meita ki te para, no te ora a kōpapa. E ua rākau mei taki te āpara no te ora ana tō papa. O te akatangai ana o pena makarona e āmata ākara. Ākara mai kia me ara rao. Ākara mai kia me ara rao.
So this one, as you can see, has got a different sort of intention. This is literal educational material, right? You could use this in your classroom to help, your kids when they're learning with their early spelling and things like that. It's also not just, she says, kia ora e te au tamariki, but in the back there, this is actually nā tātou katoa because she's talking about those tricky things that in the writing, the amata and the makarona, which we all have a little bit of trouble with. And so she's helping to communicate about that as well, which is one of the things we talk about a fair bit, but don't worry, we don't make you write a certain way and then say it's wrong. We just talk about how it could work, right? Yeah, so another one of the things that we do in the courses is we make resources in the form of sometimes videos, sometimes some other stuff I'll show you in a minute, that you can use in your classroom, or you can use at home, or you can send to your family in New Zealand and say, look, here are some things for you to use with your mokopuna over there. And we build up a few things like that. Yeah, go on there straight away, Arara Māori Cook Islands, and subscribe. If I get 1,000 subscribers, I can quit my job and I can just stay here all the time, right? So I can be an influencer on YouTube. Yeah, so we've got heaps of videos on there, heaps and heaps. Like, if we just heaps. Down here, we've got these are the lectures for the level 1 course. So that's what I was talking about. You need to you can watch it all again, right? So that's accessible there, as well as just all kinds of things. Great. Good. Oh, go away, Zoom button. It's a really weird one. Does anyone know what that is? Anyone recognize this is for a translation exercise. Does anyone know the source text? Is anyone up on the so this is this thing here is a poem that sort of got popular on the English speaking internet, and lots of people are remaking their interpretation of the poem, and it's a meme, a bit of a weird niche absurd literary meme, but it's a meme. And so but we didn't meme it, we just translated it, which isn't technically memeing it, it's just translating, right? But this is the kind of thing you might need to translate in this day and age, right? And you might need to find a way to capture the essence of whatever weird meme language is going on and somehow apply it. I don't know if you think I think we nailed it. So you can see it's not literal, right? I'm like, okay, my name is Cow. It's maybe nighttime, but this kind of is a jumping off on a different literary plane to try and capture the this line here, which for rhythm reasons couldn't be fitted in if you did it literally. So we went with the core's fallen over. No one's doing any work anymore. It's just lying on the ground, right? It's nighttime. There's no one here is the message we're trying to get out of there. But yeah. Like, so this is the kind of thing we get into, which can be a lot of fun, can get pretty silly sometimes, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, e tana way, exactly. Yeah. So one of the big overarching ideas, as one of the strategies that I was talking about in the idea of how do we encourage our kids, how do we keep them more interested? And one way is robots, computers, phones, cartoons, pop culture, that kind of stuff. That we use that as the sort of topic sometimes, and hope that they latch on to that. I thought I had my Star Wars thing up here, but I must have lost it in one. Oh no, yes, here we go. That one. Hang on, I'll get you the Star Wars one.
Outside. Ako kita no kaya ko yati tubuto papa. Oh, kini Mike ako. Iya. Kari. Oh, auto papa.
Right, like, but although all these things are a little bit showing our age, because obviously this is old people stuff well at this point. But you find the things that the kids are keen on, and you let them get into that. And so if you're interested in having a look at all, just hop over to that YouTube and spend a couple of weeks watching them all. There's just heaps and heaps of material. But we also, one of the things that we have the students do is we get them to make an e-portfolio, which is a thing that if you're a teacher, your students might have been doing this kind of thing a bit recently as well. Like, or, it's the same as keeping your journal in a book, but, this version of it. And so the whole group, including all these people, have got websites on here, where they've shown their work and all the things that they've done. This is my one. So so this is the front page. I got information about it, which, could be useful for you now if you want to learn about it. Got a little video where we talk about it, and here I've got the links to all the students' pages and that they've made, which is heaps. And so here's Mariana's one. She's talking about her assignment. She's got a little bit of explanation there. She's got a clip of her video, so she's collecting it up. So that's the one. You keep a record of your own work, but also it just makes it easier to share with your colleagues, share with your kids who are teaching your grandkids, or whatever your circumstance might be, right? That's what it's good for. So one of the other, we do comic stuff, which is always fun. So this is another one about those little things, and then you get to you can collect together your stuff and have a nice record of and this is Ben's stuff, all very earnest, good educational content, right? Yeah, which is another thing you can of course do. You can incorporate these kind of techniques, like the comics and even the little videos and things, and you could apply them to your other teaching as well, not just language, right? So he's got examples. These are science examples where you using Māori language to talk about it and helping that language by using the pictures and those kind of those good supporting materials. But yeah, so that's just, I just want to do a bit of showing off of all the really cool things that the first group made, including some of the people in this room right now. And there's heaps and heaps of it. So if that piqued your interest, just hop over to, we can send out the link. But the YouTube's real easy to find, Rarotonga Māori Cook Islands. And there's like seriously like hundreds of videos on there, most of which, not all of them, but most of them come out of this program over the last 5 years. And then these are a bit harder to find by Googling, but if you ask Deb, we can send you the link to these portfolios as well if you want to have a look through this. But yeah, cool. All right. Do it. Mako koto I Zoom? No? All right. Oh. Oh, yeah, that's gonna hang on. I forgot to make my. Yeah, it's all right. No, we don't need to share anymore. Cool. All right. Oh, you can see. Yeah, I can. Cool. All right. So, any questions now, or else we can hand over to Deb to talk about some of the technical stuff, or a bit of both? Like any. Yep. Are you able to show? Yeah. Deb's going to talk about that. Yeah, yes, for sure. Yeah. Oh, one key thing about that is for the new group, which won't affect you people who've already done it, unless you maybe missed it, which I don't know, is that the idea in terms of the near future is that we're going to start the program in semester 2 this year, but that will be, so the course that will be happening in semester 2 this year will be the first USP one, which is the Introduction to Linguistics one. That's the one that'll be starting in semester 2 this year. But I think you guys all did that already, that one, maybe. But yeah. So not the ones who haven't started, obviously you haven't done any of it, but yeah. Yes, that's right. So Mama Mere came and helped about that. Mama Mere can't come this time, but we're going to do a bit of time while I'm here in the first half of this year, helping some people like James and Mariana and that to put them in to be the tutors for that group, so that there's a bit of face-to-face support for the people here who are doing that. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to talk to the Zoom people, yeah. Well, I think you can just stand beside me. That seems to be support. Yeah. I'll just check. Can we just check they can hear? Can you hear people on Zoom when Deb talks? Thumbs up. Kia orana. Can you hear us, Zoom people? I don't know if you can hear. Already.
Yes, I can.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So we talked about running this second. Hold on, I don't want to lose your ears. I'll get in trouble. When we talked about running this next cohort, and Ake shared about the fact that once people had done that first introduction to linguistics, it really helped the understanding in the first Māori course. So that first course, Introduction to Linguistics, is available in semester 2, starting in the middle of July. Now, the Ministry of Education has indicated that they're prepared to fund another cohort of people who want to do this, and not just for teachers, but to open it up for community educators who are working, teaching Māori in the community, or if they're working with their families, or however because what we're recognising is that there is a desperate need to build the capacity of people who can educate around reo kukiarani. And so if you are interested, then the funds are available to pay your fees. We are looking at running this diploma in a bit of a different way, the Māori papers, where you will do some online, 8 to 9 weeks online, and then come together with a 2-week face-to-face to practice and be with the other people, because that way we think people have become much more familiar with working online, having the lectures online because of COVID. And it also means we might be able to open it up to Cook Islanders who are in Aotearoa or Australia. They won't be able to access the same funding that people who are resident in the Cook Islands can get. But there is interest in people doing this from overseas as well. So that would be 8-9 weeks a lecture and a couple of tutorials and some activities to do each week. Come together for a 2-week face-to-face that if you are a teacher, will make them in the school holidays. Yeah, and then we think that that's an approach that people will be able to do in terms of getting some leave if they're not teachers, being able to come together and do that face-to-face, because you need that practice and you need that working together. So the certificate, as Ake showed on the PowerPoint before, is just the Māori papers. The diploma is the linguistics and gives you that much more. It's all linguistics, but it adds those other linguistics papers in. They're all available already. They're all available online. And we've got the people who have graduated from this program who can help with the linguistics and the assessment task. That's what we're trying to do as well, is take the people who have graduated already and start to build their capacity as the teachers of the courses, so that we don't have to rely on bringing people. Ake, we've tried to clone her, it hasn't worked. And she's only one person and she's got another job at University of Auckland. So we're starting to build the capacity of the teachers through the graduates of the program. Okay, Marama? Right. Okay, so are there any questions either from the floor here or online that we can answer?
Yeah, I've got one on Zoom. Sorry, I'm in Otaki. And you were saying the 2 weeks face-to-face. How is that going to work for those in the Pāinua or overseas?
The Pāinua people will be able to access support to come into Rarotonga for those 2 weeks. But if they are coming from Aotearoa or Australia, they'll have to self-fund. And okay. We've also got some people in Aitutaki who are graduates of the program, and they will be able to be tutors to support alongside your study. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, Deb? Yeah. So those people, so the question was, if you didn't hear it, how long does it take to complete? Because of the resourcing of the Cook Islands Māori papers, what did it take? 5 years?
Mr. 2017 till the end of 2021. That was a bit slower because we got glitched because of COVID. But probably only once a year slower, I think.
Yeah. So we're not looking at being able to provide this in a full-time capacity, that we're looking at 2 papers a year to be able to do that. So that, what we've noticed in terms of the capacity is that almost everybody in the Cook Islands is working full-time as well. And so the reality is, at least one job, if not more, and that to try and speed it up too quickly means that people get too stretched. And so we're talking about, there is the availability of at least the linguistics papers semester 1 and semester 2, but the Māori papers will come at a time where they can do 8 to 9 weeks online, and then a 2-week block, which would be either in a summer school or a winter school, depending on where it fell. Does that sort of answer? I mean, you can take this diploma into a couple of different avenues, a Bachelor of Arts in linguistics, or a Bachelor of Education. And as Cook Islands, so Ben Pātia, who's teaching Māori at Te Ora at the moment. He did a double major in geography and Cook Islands Māori in his Bachelor of Education. So, you know, there are other pathways further than the diploma as well, if that's what you're interested in. So some people might already have a qualification, but they want to just pick up the certificate because the reo is what they're really interested in. So everyone is a bit different. And if you're a little bit unsure, like one of the questions online was, if I've done like a English for academic purposes, which is that UU 100 course that becomes compulsory once you get through the certificate 100 level papers and the diploma. If you've done that at another university, can you have that recognised? We can apply to have that recognised, and then you don't have to do it. Okay, so there are some other ways around, but it would take sitting down with each of you and looking at what you've got now and what you need to do. So I hope that sort of answers those questions.
But if that's your situation, you're very welcome to just come in and we'll work it out. You know, we want to get you in, so we want to figure out what you need.
Yeah, and what we're hoping is that because we know how transnational Cook Islanders are as well, that by offering the papers, a component online and then a 2-week block face-to-face to finish off, is that people will be able to, even if you find yourself ending up, you know, being in New Zealand or Australia with work, that you can still continue. Yeah. So there's you usually get 4 weeks leave a year, right? Yeah. You can take a 2-week block. Anything else? It's a priority of the government to increase the number of people who can speak and write, and not just speak, but you know, write as well in Cook Islands Māori, and so that's why the government is putting some funding behind getting the second cohort off the ground. If there's no other questions, then we'll finish it here. But we have got this recorded, so we can send the link if there's something, or if you know someone in your family that think, oh, you know, they really wanted to come but they couldn't get here, we can send the link and you can make the decision about whether you want to get started or not. And that's just what today was about, just trying to share some of the things that have happened in the course previous. It was a first for, I think, the world.
Yeah.
First in the world, this qualification in Cook Islands Māori, and so this will be the second group, and we've got a few people to pick up a few papers along the way that missed one or two along the way for one reason or another, because life gets in the way, and that's why we want to make sure we continue to run them so that if someone misses a paper somewhere, they can pick it up next time. Hey,
I mean, do any of you want to share about your thoughts about it?
Yeah, how did you? Those of you.
Cons or the, you know? Yeah, you
go. Yeah. Do you want to come and sit by Ake and put these special flash ear things in? I don't know. They're not online. People can see too. Come. You share ears. This. Yeah.
Kia ora. I can hear myself. Okay. Kia ora. My name is Elizabeth Bishop. I was one of the students that started on this course, the certificate in Pacific Vernacular but Cook Island language. I had only one more paper to complete the certificate, but I found it was too much for me to do 3 papers in one semester, so I finished off 2 instead. So I need 1 more to complete. Being on the course was actually very interesting. At first, I'll be honest with you, I was like struggling a bit to understand about linguistic, and that is actually, I found it quite challenging, the linguistic part, not the Māori part. But I found out that the activities we do is actually very interesting, another strategy or ways how we can teach our students. So we have to go according to their ability. Because I find myself as a teacher, like, you think, oh, the kids understand, but then you have to sort of think, no, you got to come down to their level. So like making storyboards, hey, we made storyboard. I found that interesting. It's a lot of focusing how to make the storyboard. We also created the words and songs, like with the songs, is it Jolene? Yeah, I found that really interesting. It wasn't only just about learning about the language, but you also build a relationship with the students who are from outer islands, like Achu, Mauke, and Mita and along here. And there's also other activities we did, like what Pene just showed, learning the different ways how to pronounce the words, like with the and then e, or, you know, with all the amata and the macarona. So I found that it was an awesome course. It's a lot of time management, managing your time from your family, work, a lot of sacrifice, especially in summer school. So when I came to listen, I thank my friend here for reminding me to come to this meeting. I was saying to Ake, oh, please tell me there's no summer school, because there's a lot of time you sacrifice. Your holiday should be a holiday for you, but also a good thing though, you learning, you know, you never stop learning. Yeah, so I found, and Ake was really helpful. Like when we finish class, you can stay back in class and do a bit of work. But like she's always online, you'll email her and she'll always email you back, maybe not in a couple hours, maybe the next day, but she will email you back. And that's one thing I like about it, because she always liaise with you. And also the students, like for example, Ben Park's here because he's younger and he knows a lot about technology. Like we all helped each other, shared lunch. That's always the best part, eating. Yeah, so yeah, I think here I've shared a lot. Yeah, so it's a lot of time management, sacrificing your time, and meeting people, building relationship. And we also went to see the Kōrero Māori at the auditorium. So it's not just being in class, if there's other opportunities outside of class, we go out there and observe and listen and learn from there. I think I've shared a lot. Yeah, he taki atu waka.
I think one of the big things about that first cohort that went through was that it was 4 weeks every summer for a few years, and that was too much. And so that's why we've modified to a blended kind of version, online for a few weeks and then come together face to face. And then it's not quite, you're not giving up your whole summer holidays like you guys did. I mean, it was a huge amount of work that you all did for a number of years. I mean, and I think it was your friendships that continued due to come, eh? All right, I think that's all we got, but if there's no further questions or comments.
Yes.
Yep, oh, yep, cool.
I just want Ake said she's going to tell us what else I'm affected.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't got them all, the linguistics papers.
So
Sorry.
there's the computer skills one.
Oh, the UU.
And the English for academic purposes one.
Yeah.
You know their numbers?
UU 100 and UU 114.
Yeah.
Okay, so the IT course, so you only have to do them once you move into the second into the diploma. So English for academic purposes, Mike Uti and John Jonathan and Ake and I have all had this discussion about the fact that it's actually really important to learn to write as well, and you know, for your assignments. And those have been, especially UU 114 has been totally revamped now. It's not like it used to be. It was quite tricky, eh? And it's been totally revamped and redone in first year this year of it being launched in the revamped model. The IT course is run by Mi'i Nemoroto, our Director of the Centre for Excellence in IT, and it just really helps you to structure all of the stuff you need to do in terms of ICT, which again is really useful. Saves you time saves you time actually doing those courses once you get through them. Yeah. But the other linguistics course, there's a 100 level or 200. I can't remember all the different.
Intro to linguistics, applied linguistics, which is mostly language teaching. Then there's 2 papers that are on the linguistic landscape in the Pacific, like so Pacific languages and what's happening with Pacific languages across the region. Yeah, and another one that's like that. Sorry, I haven't got this in my head, so I don't do these ones.
I've got your emails, and I could just jot them down and send them to you.
Yeah, and all things sort of related to language in some way. Yeah, apart from those general skills ones, and then there's one elective where you can do any
choose. Yeah. Thank you.
On the IT side of things, for example, if you don't have any computer or access to a computer or laptop, you need access.
The question was, if you don't have access to IT, can you have access here? As a USP student, you have access 24 hours, 7 days a week to our computer lab. And we also have class sets of iPads and things to use as well. So that's one of the things, and you can get a swipe card and let yourself in 24/7 on here. I'm assuming that the people who are online have got something because they're online. But that is one of the nice things about the campus here, is that you do have that 24/7 access if you need it.
Yeah, and during the face-to-face time, if you let us know, because for some of the things you do need a computer rather than one of those other things, if you let us know ahead, I can bring some. I can borrow some from my work and bring them for the period, so you can use them for the class face-to-face part where we're doing that,
or we can buy them if we haven't got what you need.
One other question. Is the intention to get people to finish the certificate first and then go on to the further one?
No, so the certificate is 100, 200 and 300 level courses. The question was, is it the intention to do the certificate and then a diploma? So the certificate is made up of 100, 200 and 300 level courses, and the diploma as well. So we're doing them sort of simultaneously. Yeah. So you can, if you want to just do the certificate, just come in for the Māori papers when they're offered without the linguistics, or you can do both. So there is the 2 options, or carry on and do a degree in linguistics. Yeah. Okay, I think we're done. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to email us and ask, or come in and see us, or we can work out where we're at. Don't forget to jump online and have a look at the kinds of things that the students have done in the past, because that gives you a bit of an idea of what the paper is really like. When you look at their portfolios, you can see bits of their assessments. You won't be able to copy them for your own assessment, but you get an idea of what the kinds of assessments are. Okay.
And there's very little sitting in a classroom listening that happens in the day. It's usually a little bit of that, and then quite a lot of doing things, right? That's how we try and do it. You see, so it's and you work together with the other students and get creative. That's the idea. That's what we try and encourage as much as possible.
So I'll email everybody with the list of courses and what their titles are, and we've got a tentative time frame for when they'll run, but like we said, we'll be running like maybe 2 a year. If 1 Māori in linguistics, there could be the possibility of picking up 2 linguistics papers if you want to do that, depending on your own workload. Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, I think that in the Māori 111, the first Māori language one, we're looking at doing early next year, maybe depending on how much interest we get in people's availability, starting over the summer at some point, so possibly in December. But obviously that whole Christmassy area is a bad time for everybody. But so yeah, so the semester 2 this year is for the people who are interested in the diploma, the intro to linguistics, and then the Cook Islands Māori 1 will be either at the very end of this year or early next year, starting
or across.
Yeah, you know, that's what I was going to say. That the Māori papers they don't run in the semesters; they run in what in USP talk is called flexi school timetable. So we can kind of do them whenever. Doesn't have to be inside the semester dates, which is quite helpful. So yeah, so but that will be the first one in the Māori papers starting either at the end of this year or early next year is the plan. Yeah, for that one. Yeah.
So the mile one paper, which was for the beginners.
Yep.
Is that goes for the
Yeah, so James is just, because we've just been piloting that with the community programs, the beginners and the advanced, beginners and intermediate course has just been put together into Moodle. We're actually looking to use that. We're developing a qualifications in Cook Islands studies as well, and one paper that everybody has decided needs to be included in that is a language paper. So we're looking at the 111 course that's here if you're a heritage speaker of Māori, but if you're an L2 or a second language learner of Māori, you'll do the 101. So there'll be those choices so that we don't want to scare people. If they haven't got much Māori, then they can do the 101, okay? But James has been offering those anyway in class after work. He just finished a beginner's class, just about to start an intermediate class. Yep.
Yeah, so just about that, there's the 101 course and there was a 102 course developed for USP, which I developed. And what we've done with that is that will become all one of it's 18 weeks in a full course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that will become the C101 will be the 101 and 102 combined. So we've just finished a cohort of students, about 20 that went through that course. And it is very basic. It's there's a lot of second language learners in that group and wide range of skills. So it was quite an interesting job trying to set all of the learning. But yeah, we managed to do it. We're going to be doing this one on I think around June. So,
Okay, we'll call it quits. Can you finish with that? Make up. See everybody online.
Aira koto